Sean Dorcell is here, joined by two wonderful ambassadors of Syracuse University, Vice President and Dean of Hendricks Chapel, Brian Conkle, and Syracuse alum and Hall of Fame broadcaster, Sean McDonough. We are seated here at Hendricks Chapel, right above what will soon be known as the Coach Mack Food Pantry. How did the food pantry renaming come about? I'll start with you, Brian.
Well, in many ways, it came about 7.5 years ago, Sean, when we first met. We held the funeral service for Coach Mack right here. And that started leading us down a road where we recognized, how is it that we honor this incredible person who, yes, was a great football coach and was so much more than that. And so as our pantry started to expand in its impact, things had a way of coming together, and we realized this was meant to be, that we could rename this food pantry in honor of Coach Mack, number one, to honor his life, and also serve as a reminder of how we can put our faith into action. So we're really excited to have this dedication and to see this pantry continue to expand for years to come, ultimately to be a blessing to students here at Syracuse for many generations to come.
The last time I was on this stage was Coach Mack's funeral, and one thing I'm experiencing now that I'm very happy about is it's about 60 degrees cooler in here right now than it was on that August day than we were here. You know, I've said to Brian many times, we've become such great friends. He did such a magnificent job presiding over Coach's funeral, and Brian had only been on campus for a couple of weeks. But Coach Mack had a way of bringing people together even in death. You know, I met Brian at his funeral, and we become great friends. So we've been talking for a long time about, you know, what's a great way to honor Coach Mack, because there was the football part of it, and that's going to be acknowledged with his, you know, rightful placement in the Ring of Honor at halftime of the football game. But he was such a great citizen of the community. You know, he cared so deeply about other people. He was such a man of great faith. I think for all of those reasons, the food pantry here in the chapel is the perfect place to honor him for everything that he represented off the field.
What was your relationship with Coach Mack like?
Oh, it was awesome. Such a blessing. You know, I met him at his press conference when he got introduced as our coach, and had a couple minutes with him. And he told me when he got back to campus, because he had to go back to the NFL and help coach the Cleveland Browns, and they were heading toward the playoffs. He said, when I get back, I'm going to call you, and we're going to talk about what you can do to help me get this football program turned around. And I remember saying to my dad, I just met our new football coach, and he's either the nicest man I've ever met or the biggest phony I've ever met. And my dad said, oh, he'll call you. He and my dad had a friendship from before. And sure enough, he called me a few weeks later, invited me to work for him. I worked for him for 3.5 years in the football office. And, you know, it was such a learning experience in so many ways. But more than anything, Sean, as a public person now, you know, he was such a great example about how to gracefully deal with being a public person. You know, he treated everybody exceedingly well, and everybody wanted a piece of his time, and he was patient and kind and interested in everybody because he really did care about everybody. So he remains a great influence in my life, and one of the most important people that I've ever known.
Brian, what has the growth of the food pantry been in your time as Dean of Hendricks Chapel?
We've seen the pantry grow in a number of different ways. Number one, the number of students that come to visit to receive the food that the pantry has to offer, but also in many other ways, because the pantry in many ways is a gateway for students to receive a whole variety of services, whether it's meeting friends or getting involved in the religious and spiritual life of the chapel. So yes, it grows numerically because students are coming to receive the sustenance they need to thrive, and also from beyond that, the relationships and the opportunities to engage with the fullness of the Syracuse University community. So I like to think that it's increased, yes, in quantity, it's also increased in quality. And in many ways, being here at the chapel, it's a reminder that all the different traditions that are represented here are meant to be seen in action, that you put your faith into action, that we might believe these things in our heart, but what we believe should show up in our hands and our feet. And so the pantry, in addition to being a great blessing to the students, is a reminder to us that what are the implications of your affirmations? Where is your belief show up in the world so that conviction to put faith in action has in turn helped us, I would argue, to be a better chapel, and has made this a better Syracuse University.
Sean, of course, on Saturday, Coach Mack will be inducted into the Ring of Honor at the football game. But as we know, he'll also be honored here. How much of his impact and his legacy takes place off the field?
I think, to me, most of it. You know, I think it's great that any of us are good at what we do if people think that we are, and Coach Mack was great at what he did. You know, he's deservedly in the College Football Hall of Fame. But I think it's much more important what we're like as people and human beings and how we treat each other. And that's why I think the food pantry is perfect. You know, as I've known, spending time with Brian and serving on his advisory board here, that food insecurity, you know, on a lot of college campuses, including here, is a really serious problem. And I go back to my own experience here. You know, it was really expensive, relatively speaking, when I went to school here. It was hard to get through. I remember getting the cheapest meal plan I could, and then trying to, you know, figure out a way to eat in other places when you can. And, you know, Brian knows the story, and I told it at Coach Mack's funeral here. You know, I was not going to make it through college financially, and Coach Mack miraculously helped me, told me, had someone tell me that really didn't take credit for it, that I was getting an academic scholarship to, for just the amount of money I needed that I was going to be short for my bill for the next semester. So, you know, Coach Mack helped me get through college. And had to be a much better experience because of his kindness and generosity. And I think that's what I want to do in his honor, is to help people get through college without having to worry about where food's coming from. And I don't think there's anything any more important than that.
Brian, how can members of the Syracuse community contribute to the Coach Mack Food Pantry?
We'd want people to go to our website, chapel.syracuse.edu, and there's a giving page where people can go right on and donate to the Coach Mack Food Pantry. So those financial contributions are really important to keep this going and so that we can keep our students thriving. I would also invite people, come see it. If you are around, come see the pantry and visit with our students, visit with our volunteers, visit with our staff and experience it and volunteer some of your time. And we also have people who do bring in-kind objects as well. So again, financial contributions, in-kind contributions, and come on by and visit so that you can give, again, some of your time, some of your talents, and some of your treasure. And in doing so, you're not just helping a student for a day, but I think what happens is that when a student knows that they're being cared for, you are giving them opportunities to thrive throughout their time here at Syracuse and far beyond.
Well, I thank you both for your time here today. Thank you both for what you'll be doing this weekend and for all that you both do for Syracuse University. Sean and Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. If I could add one more thing, thank you for your kind introduction, but you are also a wonderful ambassador of Syracuse University.
That means a lot. Thank you,
It's
Sean.
the truth.